Straight to the
People think
presentation.
this is a game. Sometimes I have to catch myself. Oh, okay. Let me not say anything.
You funny, Christine. All right, so I put the timer on, put the volume up. Let me see if they can see me in the YouTube land. Yes, yes, yes. I'm live. Okay, good, good. Let me see if they can hear me though.
What is that at the bottom of the screen to the left? It looks like a flower, and then I can't tell what's next to it. It looks like seeds though.
The bottom right here.
Yeah, that. What's that?
I I don't know. It just looks nice, so
Okay.
that's why it's there. But everything else has a purpose for different
It looks
reasons.
like scales almost.
Yeah, it does. When I close my eyes, that's what I see. These really
Mm.
profound scales. The dragon. All right. So, hi everyone. How's everyone doing? um,
Let me turn my phone.
so we're back. Today is part 3, week 3. We're going into week 3, but we're kind of, I'm gonna be honest, we're a little behind, but it's okay. I can't say we're completely behind because I really want to take my time breaking down these books. So let's go into it. As usual, my intro. Ascension. Ascension is the goal of this lifetime for those of us who are spiritually awakened. So we need to come to the understanding and knowing we don't exist, yet we are very real. Yes, we are real, yet the physical form is an illusion. Life is based on what you create because these slides are very much about creation and manifesting by programming your own mind. Because those who've been following me, week 1, the first thing that the author speaks of, he says that you are not the mind, you're not the body, you're simply consciousness, and the mind and the body are the tools to use in order to manifest your reality before you. So I'm working on that myself. So it's a process for all of us. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. Let me make this smaller. Let's keep going because it gets in the way. Let me just take this out of it. Okay. Welcome back. Today is Friday. The lesson will be 2 parts, Friday and Saturday. So today and tomorrow. Today's 9/2/2022, part 3 of week 2 and 3, chapters 2 and 3 of Mind Magic by Kevin Fulton and The Art and Practice of Astral Projection by Ophio. Okay, so this is the objective for these slides, these specific slides. Shielding and how to use the energies from within you, programming your mind, programming your own mind, visualization and imagination, self-hypnosis, and knowing how to create the life you want. The law of attraction as the pure consciousness at this time. Oh, hold on. Are you still there, Christina?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, okay. All right. Let's continue. Let's continue. I like to always kind of recap. This recap was from week 1. Mind magic. You are not your mind and you are not your body. These are actual tools available. Hold on. Okay. You are not your mind and you are not your body. These are actual tools available to your authentic inner self, consciousness, or pure being, because that's what you are, just the consciousness, the observer. These different words all indicate the same thing, and that thing is experienced as pure presence by Kevin Fulton. And my bulletins, I kind of reiterate, we are pure consciousness and awareness. We exist multidimensionally, simultaneously, and infinitely. So this is not a recap, so I don't know why I put recap right there. So anyway, we are going to go into shielding. We're going to talk about different forms of shielding. Shielding is very important when it comes to doing spiritual work or any kind. There are negative energies and thought forms that can connect to your aura, your home. Even the food you eat can carry negative energy. Everything is energy. And because of this, being very conscious, I think it's spelled conscious wrong, at all times throughout the day and night. So shielding. First thing we get into. Can you hear this, Christina?
No, I just see something moving.
Okay. Okay. So this is a Merkaba. And it's an energetic starship, or, well, not starship the way we know starship to be. Because it has audio with it. It sucks that on Zoom you can't hear the audio, but it has audio. It's basically, it moves around you etherically. So when you're in meditation or when you close your eyes, you can activate the Merkaba around you, programming it to it says, I'm getting downloads, like it can cleanse you, it can heal you, it can protect you. It's an auric field that's around you at all times that you should use as often as possible. And it moves somewhat like that, you know. It turns, it's a whole thing, how it turns counterclockwise. The bottom turns opposite from the top. So you envision it. That's why we're going to go into imagination these slides. But it looks like none of these slides are going to really work because a lot of it's video. The next one is the toroidal sphere. Can you hear this?
No.
Okay.
It's funny. I've seen that while I meditate. Not all the time, but I've seen something similar to that. It looks like that, but it's usually, sometimes I usually see it like diagonally.
Well, this is the toroidal sphere, and it comes from within you. Like you're the center point. It surrounds you around you like that. It's a consciousness, it's a blueprint. It's very similar to the Merkaba, but it's way more powerful than the Merkaba, is what I'm getting. This is your very essence, your signature, your blueprint. This is like when you go into a room or you go into anywhere, people who are spiritually aware, people, you know, who would know with their eyes open, they would know who was in this house, who is here today, because that's how expansive the toroidal sphere.
Mm.
And you can use that to absorb the sunlight as well. So what you do is you imagine like a donut shape frequency, like that showing you right there. And you imagine it coming in and out, moving just like that inside of you.
Mm.
And you just can absorb energy from it. With it, you can very much tap into that energy and become that energy as well. You tap into that energy and remember yourself within that energy, because that energy signifies the total encompass. Basically, it's consciousness, really. That's what it's saying. Spiritually speaking, it would just simply be consciousness. Consciousness that you have access to when you're doing meditation. It's also an energy field of power around you. This protection is another form of protection. Shielding with this helps a lot. Imagining this helps with protection and making sure nothing negative comes around you. So there's many. It's the purpose. I'm getting like the purpose for the toroidal sphere is endless. It's infinite. It can regenerate you. You can use it when you're in the sun. Imagine it just the way it is, so it could cleanse you, clear you, go through your body, and all that good stuff. Okay, so before we jump into the next slide, I also wanted to mention that another form of basic shielding is imagining the white light around you. White light, and imagining an invisibility cloak, imagining, I see the deities you feel comfortable using, the deities that you feel comfortable with. You can imagine have them around you to protect you as well. It's a whole process. The biggest thing with spirituality is knowing what resonates, knowing what works, and what works for me may not work for you. What works for you might not work for me. It's very an individual process, because every soul is different. Every consciousness, awareness, perspective is a little different also. Anyway, let's get into it. Creative visualization. The power of imagination. You already visualize all the time. One of the biggest blocks to successful creative visualization for many people is the belief that you just can't do it. If so, you are misunderstanding what visualization really is. You do it every day. Anytime you are imagining, daydreaming, or remembering, then you are creatively visualizing. The only question is, what are you creating? As you program your mind, so will you manifest your life experience. The point of mind magic is to begin creating with deliberate intent, as opposed to creating by default. As above, so below, as within, so without. These words point to the infallible power of imagination to form your experience of your reality. Creative visualization is the art of using your imagination to manifest experiences in accordance with deliberate intention. As a learned skill, it can be enhanced with practice and other techniques, but it is a skill you already naturally possess in abundance. So basically, we always imagining, we're always thinking, we're always creating. And that's the easiest thing you do. As a child, you have it profoundly. You're always in your imagination. You're always creating imaginary people and so on and so forth. That power still is in all of us. You simply have to tap in. For those who don't who may not meditate often, or those who don't meditate often may not visualize consciously. You may just fall into, like he says, a daydream, a thought, but all of that is imagination. All of that, if it's coming from you, from your mind, your perspective, it's visualization, it's imagination. Now it's about being conscious about it, what you're doing, and not just doing it by default. That's what he says right here. The point of mind magic is to begin creating with deliberate intent as opposed to creating by default. So we don't want to create from the perspective of our programming. Our programming is our society, our parents, our preachers, our teachers, so on and so forth. We want to consciously, deliberately create our reality. So we want to meditate, be aware. That's what meditation is, the key to this. So mind magic, being conscious of consciousness, being aware. So we get into imagination now. What is, as is usual for almost everyone, most of the time you are probably created by default. The production of mental images and pictures, especially vividly fleshed out scenes, are incredibly powerful techniques for programming the mind and creating manifestations. The more you believe in what you are imagining, the more programming power it has. So you have to believe what you're imagining. You have to put that emotion, that belief, the knowing that you are your own creator, you creating everything around you. Also, the more emotional, like just now, also the more emotional energy you pour into your mental pictures, the more powerful your programming will be. Simply using your imagination is like engaging in holographic mind programming in the hyperspace of visual reality. This is the most powerful programming technique that exists, and most other magical practices are means of adding more clarity, vividness, energy, and power to the visual images that you create as representations of your intentions. So imagination is based on belief. It's based on your emotions. You're pouring into it, believing it. Okay. So basically you're using it to program your mind, really. Okay. The more powerful your programming will be, because you're trying to program the tool. The mind is the computer. The thoughts are the software, right? And the body is the machine. So the more you program and visualize and put the emotion in what you're thinking constantly, backing up your emotions with your visualizations in order to program the mind, right? Then you begin to act on it, which is the physical body. You'll start to create from default, per your default, though, by your deliberate default, as opposed to default based on societal default. So the more powerful your programming will be, because it's all about programming here. He emphasizes programming. Simply by using your imagination is like engaging in holographic mind programming in the hyperspace of virtual reality. So he's trying to tell you, you live in a game. You live in a game.
Yeah.
So this is a game. You gotta use your programming, which is your imagination, to create. He continues to say this is the most powerful programming technique that exists. He's telling you this is a game. So program your mind, which is the program is the thoughts, is the imagination, right? So you can create, find out why you're here, and then once you found that out, continue to create.
Yeah. You actually raise a good point. This puts a lot of stuff into perspective, because I remember I was watching this. I always watch, you know, different ways on how to heal, like unconventional ways, because I'm trying to put as much in my arsenal outside of taking pills,
Of
you
course.
know. And one of the methods that they said was exactly what you just described, was but being conscious of the mental images that you think of, in terms of healing. But more specifically, the content that I was watching was about people who, what is it? They had brought to light that 90, what is it? Not, well, you are only conscious of 5% of what it is that you do and how you behave. In other words, your behavior is affected by literally 95 to 97% of your subconscious. So, and they were speaking about, so basically how you react to triggers, you tend to do it subconsciously, you're not consciously aware of it.
Yes.
And one of the things that they highlighted is like, you can't be conscious in the sense where you're willing yourself to heal yourself, to change what you've done or what you're doing when you're not aware of what it is you're doing and how it is that you're showing up in your behaviors, how you interact with other people based on your subconscious. And one of the things that they had suggested was what you had mentioned, um, is like, not play, but having your mind mental pictures and images of like happy moments of where you felt good, and be consistent with it, so that then you'll start to, you may not necessarily see the change up front, but we'll say people who interact with you will see those changes in you, because your subconscious is basically how you show up to other people, because you're not aware unless you have a videotape of what it is you're doing and how,
Yes.
how you show up. You don't
Yeah.
know, other people have to tell you.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, that's good stuff right there.
Yeah. That's definitely, when you said that, that reminded me of a lady named Dolores Cannon. Dolores Cannon talks about how you make yourself sick. We make ourselves sick physically, mentally, spiritually. Thoughts are things. Thoughts are frequency. Thoughts. That's why imagination is the thought. Imagination is the frequency. So when you think of yourself as healed and know of yourself with power, guaranteeing that, if you knew that if you know you're healed, you're not waiting for yourself to be healed, you will be healed. It's like that.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, it's really I go straight in and tell everybody, you are gods, and it gets, it's a little, it's, oh, that's blasphemous, and well, it's tricky, it's tricky because I don't know what standpoint to come into that and how to explain it. So baby steps, but we literally have that much power in our lives. We control every single aspect of our existence.
Yeah. I think
Every
that's a
single.
better way of I think that's a better way of explaining it, and then following up as you are gods, because when people say you are gods that lead with that, it's very off-putting, because you automatically think that what do you mean? Like, I'm saying you're trying to say that I'm taking place, of the creator, and essentially that's not what
No,
it is that you mean.
no, not at all.
Yeah, that's not what you mean, but that's how people tend to take it when you lead with that. You know what I'm saying? But if
Yeah,
you were to say, you are
because
the,
I think, go ahead.
when you
Go ahead.
say that when you lead with, you're the person, that has complete control of how your life shapes up. And it starts with, your thoughts. And then you finish with you are gods, then it tends to put things together. You know what I'm
In
saying?
perspective, yes,
Yeah.
most definitely. Because now you're like, you know what? She might be right. Let me try it out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's like, we have been programmed with a certain frequency. So that's programming, is the thoughts, is the visualizations as children. So we project these programmings to this holographic, what he says, this virtual holographic, what does he say here? I like how he says it. Simply using your imagination is like engaging in the holographic mind programming in the hyperspace of virtual reality, right? So that's where we but we do it by default based on programmings that are outdated, that are our own hindrance for our own growth, you know. So, and it's there, a lot of the times the programming isn't empowering. So we feel that we can't be self-sufficient, that we are victims, and that's not at all the case. We're very much powerful. And you know, that's why programming, he says it a whole bunch of times right here, holographic programming, and that is the most powerful programming technique. The more powerful your programming will be.
Yeah.
The powerful technique of programming the mind and creating manifestation. So he emphasizes programming because that is definitely what we're here to reprogram our minds to know the possibilities of our lives are endless.
Yeah.
Possibilities are limitless. There isn't any numbers that can measure up to who we are as people, as humanity.
I get it. And you know what? Excuse my French, but I was thinking, because I'm gonna preface this. I mean, I'm tend to be very vulgar on my language. I'm not gonna necessarily mince my words, but one of the things that I was thinking was, I'm like, damn it, God is one clever motherfucker. And when I say that, when I say that is because, you know, to your point, when you're like, hey, listen, you're not victims in this. And you're so right. Like, you know, you're not, in the sense that one of the things that I realized, and it clicked to me, in how, like, everybody, you know, humanity is all interconnected. You know what I'm saying? In the terms of, when I look at it, is I think of, you know, simply put, one of the things that I've realized was, you know, what is your experience externally? Everything you see, and this is how much of an illusion it is, like, it's so mind-boggling, but everything that you feel and or experience outwardly is something that you are already experiencing internally. So it's just reflected on the outside. You know what I'm saying?
And that's exactly what as above, so below means. As within, so without. It's like, that's why you have to change the world, or your world rather, from within. From within. That's why meditation is the key. Meditation is to bring you to the presence, the consciousness, because you have to remember, you're not the mind, you're not the body. If you're not the mind and you're not the body, what are you? You are consciousness. You're literally an awareness that exists, that created itself in this moment in time to have an experience. And now we're relearning how to change our reality from the perspective that nothing in front of us exists. That's where miracles happen. Like, how did he do this? How did she do that? Because sometimes those miracles, those moments just happen, but then it's nothing like actually controlling that from within self, and creating the miracles from within yourself, healing yourself, creating the life you want, because you're reprogramming the tool, which is the mind and the body. And you could deliberately do that.
Yeah, no, I hear that. But one of the ways that I can make this kind of plain by using an example would be, case in point, is if I'll use, like, let's say butterflies. And this is how come I said, you know, God is one clever motherfucker, is because, in the sense where, if you look the meaning, the symbolism of what a butterfly is, generally it means transformation, right?
Yes.
Transformation, evolution.
Yes.
So the whole everything, what do you say, is within is without, is so without.
Yes.
I forgot how it, okay. So in other
As above,
words,
so it below.
yeah, but I'm not speaking to that. I'm speaking to the one where you specifically said as within, so without. Is that, am I
Yes.
saying that right? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So basically, if to use it as an example, let's say if you're outside and you happen to see butterflies. Butterflies is synchronistic in nature. And you seeing butterflies within that moment is actually you seeing yourself internally, but it's just showing outside. When I say that is if you see a butterfly and the butterfly stands for transformation and that's what you're experiencing and you're seeing on the outside. What that means is on the inside, you are in the midst of transforming. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. Of
So
course.
yeah, so I know that's what I know that you get it, but I was just saying like that is how I was able to connect the dots. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Where it made sense to me, like, you know what I'm saying? Case and it made sense to me. Like I'll use another example as far as like sometimes like cats, cats are known, lions or cats are usually associated with like confidence. So if you see that you are like visually, if a cat happens, I mean, cats tend to have a lot of other different symbolic meanings, but just for this specific example, if it, let's say, if somebody who has a fear of cats and a cat happens to cross your path, that's kind of like the universe sending the message that you need to work on your confidence. You see what I'm
Yes.
saying? So it's just
Yes.
like, yeah, so it was just like, wow, like this hit me like this week as far as just like the connection,
Yes.
but yeah, I'll let you continue, but I just wanted to
No, I
say that.
totally love that. Your downloads and everything, girl. You are evolving. You are the butterfly. So keep it up. Keep evolving because, let's see where this takes us because it's deep. Okay, let's return to the metaphor of your mind as a computer. He states this somewhere in the book. In this model, thoughts are viewed as programs. There goes, he says, your mind is a computer and thoughts are your programs. Your mind is an extremely powerful computer capable of running not only a huge quantity of programs, but a wide variety of programs. Imagination can be seen as a type of virtual reality software that allows you to program and reprogram your mind. This is highly significant as it means you are not limited to using only visual images, but any sensory data or even emotions and feelings. Okay, this is highly significant as it means you are not limited to using only visual images, but any sensory data or even emotions and feelings. So everything is used to program the mind in your imagination. Whatever you can imagine in your mind, you can produce in your experience. The only limit to this power is the limit you impose on yourself by accepting limited beliefs of what is possible. So only you can stop yourself. Only you limit yourself. Only you can do that. But if you want to progress and keep growing and evolving, ever evolving, you have to know you program your mind. You are using, once again, the mind and the body is the tool. You are not the mind. You are not the body. You are not this mind. You are not this body. You are consciousness observing self. So from that perspective, give me a second, guys. Yes. So do not let anybody program your mind. Do not let anyone limit you for your possibilities. You are your own creator. You are your own consciousness, observing self. Find out why you incarnated. Why did you manifest the physical form at this time? Why are you here? Why do you have an avatar? Basically, it's an avatar you have. Use your avatar correctly. Can you see this? Can you hear it?
I can see it. I can't hear it.
Well, this was supposed to go back into imagination again. Okay, so you've seen this because I think you've been in one of my workshops where, so he talks about imagination. So there's a simple box. It comes with a TV, and he's like, imagination. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm very far ahead on. See, there you go. So he says, with imagination, you don't need a television. So he literally bought the box with the TV, but instead he threw out the TV and kept the box. And so like Squidward's like, okay, this idiot. So you can keep the box. Can I have your TV? He goes, with the TV, with imagination, you don't need the TV. It's the whole thing, you know. But it's really funny because now later on while Squidward's inside his house watching TV, he's hearing all these realistic noises inside the box. And he's like, how are you able to make all those noises? Where are they coming from? Let me see the box. Let me see what's in the box. And he shows it to them, and he's like, there's nothing in there. He goes, yes, it's imagination is in there. And he continues and continues. By the end of the scene, he gives SpongeBob the TV, I think, and he ends up using the box or something like that. I don't remember it, but basically it was supposed to refer to imagination. All right, let's move on. So now he also talks now about self-hypnosis, programming through auto-suggestion. Once again, that word programming, because the mind is the computer and the programs are the software for programming the mind. Imagination is one way of programming the mind, and now you have self-hypnosis to program your mind. Defining hypnosis. Hypnosis refers to a specific altered state of consciousness and also the method used to induce that state. Okay, altered state of consciousness. This state creates an intense focus of attention by concentrating your awareness into a trance state. That essentially blocks external stimuli and sensation. This makes the mind highly susceptible to suggestions, and as such is a powerful addition to your mind magic toolkit. Mind magic can be viewed as simply a collection of techniques for creating or entering into alternate states of consciousness to manifest intentions or to gain insight through unique experiences. So we go into a trance in self-hypnosis to essentially auto-suggest, program the mind again of what we want, what we need. Okay. You're constantly programming and reprogramming your mind already. You usually call the process thinking or imagining. The problem is that most of the time, this program is done unconsciously and randomly. Mind magic in contrast, is performed with deliberate intentions. This makes self-hypnosis an ideal method of performing this type of practice. Hypnotic induction. Okay. Hypnotic induction. You enter into the trance state by a process known as hypnotic induction. This is simply a series of preliminary instructions and suggestions. There are many different induction techniques used in hypnosis, but I suggest an easy method of self-induction. You cannot enter in a hypnotic trance against your will. So know that as well. So basically, he's telling you, you do it all the time anyway, you're just not aware of it. You want to be consciously, deliberately. So mind magic, in contrast, is performed with deliberate intention. You want to not do things by default, unless it's your default, unless you have programmed yourself so much that it is done by default per your default programming. Okay, so that's why he says this makes self-hypnosis an ideal method for performing this type of practice. So it is definitely something to consider doing. Okay. See you tomorrow, guys. This is part 1. It's been, I think, 40 minutes because my timer went off. Tomorrow,
Oh, right on time.
right?
Or did you bring that slide up?
No, it just.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It just went through like that. See you guys tomorrow for part 2. Part 2, Friday and Saturday. Today is 9/2/2022, part 3 of week 2 and 3. So I don't want to confuse anyone. We are in week 3, reading chapters 3 of astral projection and mind magic. So I'm actually taking my time with these books and keeping up with the chapters the best I can so that we can break it down. Astral projection, it will be our whole thing tomorrow. Astral projection, we will be talking about the practice of actually doing it. We're not going to just be talking about theory anymore. So we're just going to get into different, one of the actual practices that the author speaks of. And we're going to get into the bodies a little bit more, the different bodies, astral body, the etherical body, just a little bit, and we'll go from there. So
Sounds like a
thank you
plan.
guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you, Christina.
Yeah.
And thank you for whoever who's watching this one. Who's watching on YouTube. Thank you for being there. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
All right.
Tomorrow, and we'll go from there. All right.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.